Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
One of my favorite bhajans by Swami Mukundanand ji is Raghuraj Kahe, Yaduraj Kahe. This is a most wonderful composition that describes the divine pastimes and glories of the Supreme Lord using both manifestations of Sri Ram and Sri Krishna. To set the context for today's story, let's hear a few lyrics from that bhajan.
है वास तुम्हारा घट घट में, सब जग को नाच नचाते हो, फिर भी यशोदा के हाथों से तुम उखल में बंध जाते हो.
How lovely and devotional. Let's explain this a little bit. The lyrics are basically saying that Sri Krishna, the Supreme, as well as Sri Ram, the Supreme, in whichever manifestation, they dance with us, they make the world dance as well. But as we see in the second part of the lyrics, this is specifically referring to Sri Krishna, he gets bound by a rope because of Mother Yashoda tying him to the ukhal, which is the grinding mortar stone. Powerful, because again, the Supreme Lord who can make all of us dance can get bound by a mother's love. Let's listen now to a couple of shlokas where this entire story comes from. This is in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 9. Specifically, let's listen to verses 13 and 14.
न चान्तर न बहिर्यस्य, न पूर्वं नापि चापरम्, पूर्वापरं बहिश्चान्तर, जगतो यो जगच्च यः. तं मत्वात्मजम् अव्यक्तम्, मर्त्यलिङ्गम् अधोक्षजम्, गोपिको लूखले दाम्ना, बबन्ध प्राकृतं यथा.
These shlokas, as part of that entire story, in summary, are telling us that the Supreme Lord, of course, is transcendental. He has no beginning, he has no end. He is all pervading. Yet we see in the second part that he gets bound, as we said, to that ukhal, which is the grinding mortar stone. The story briefly goes as this. Sri Krishna was once being fed milk by Mother Yashoda, but there was also milk boiling in a pot on the oven, so Mother Yashoda had to tend to that. This made baby Sri Krishna rather angry, so he went and started searching for milk or an equivalent, and he was able to find a pot of yogurt or churned butter, and he broke that with a stone and started having that yogurt or churned butter out of it. In fact, he took it away to some corner and not only fed himself, but he also gave that to some of the monkeys who happened to be nearby. Naturally, when Mother Yashoda got free and saw this, she wanted to chastise him. So she thought she would tie him to a grinding mortar stone, that ukhal. So she took a rope and tried to tie Sri Krishna to that. But it turned out that that rope was about 2 finger widths short. So she tried again with a little bit more rope. And again, it was 2 finger widths short. This continued, and keep in mind, again, this is a divine Leela, a divine pastime of Sri Krishna. So he finally relented and allowed that rope to be long enough so that he could be tied to that ukhal, the grinding mortar stone. The question now is, why would Sri Krishna, the Supreme Lord, even let that happen? The real takeaway is that Sri Krishna gets enslaved by the true and sincere love, devotion, and bhakti of the people who are very, very pious and dear to him. So again, this is a divine pastime. Sri Krishna, of course, in his powerful form, could have skipped the whole aspect of being tied to the ukal. But because Mother Yashoda was with so much love and sincerity, in that divine Leela, it played out as such that Sri Krishna submitted. He relented, and again, in a very loving, reciprocal way, to Mother Yashoda, so that she could have that rope bind him to that ukal, the grinding mortar stone. Again, to clarify, Sri Krishna doesn't get enslaved by his devotees. He gets enslaved by the love of his devotees. And this is something we all are trying to improvise upon in our individual spiritual journeys as we progress bit by bit, having surrender, bhakti, devotion, and love for the Supreme. So once again, maybe I'll try this time, though I can't really sing. है वास तुम्हारा घट घट में, सब जग को नाच नचाते हो, फिर भी यशोदा के हाथों से तुम उखल में बंध जाते हो. We hope you enjoyed that story. And if you would like to check out the entire bhajan, please look at the description below for this video, where you can then click and access the entire bhajan by Swami Mukundanand ji. And the second bit of work or homework is to think about an aspect that is rather similar to this in terms of Sri Krishna being enslaved by the love of his devotee, specifically from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 1. Think back and see if you can relate this to a set of shlokas or just a couple of incidents where Sri Krishna specifically does get enslaved by a devotee's love. We would be delighted to read your responses using the comments feature below. And so we look forward to that. Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
जय जय श्याम श्याम श्याम, जय जय श्याम श्याम श्याम, जय जय राम राम राम, जय जय श्याम श्याम श्याम. है वास तुम्हारा घट घट में, सब जग को नाच नचाते हो, फिर भी यशोदा के हाथों से तुम उखल में बंध जाते हो. जय जय राम, जय जय श्याम, जय जय राम, जय जय श्याम. राधे राधे.